Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and sub if you're serious about the digital asset space, and let's get right into it today. One take and uncut. So to kick things off, I just want to share this quote here with the Trump administration talking about businesses grinding to a halt due to all the, crises occurring right now. So as we can see, this is what I did like to see. So right here, I don't see how we get through this without wide-scale systemic solutions. Keep in mind the primary cause is liquidity. So we'll see what happens, regardless whether XRP plays a role, which of course we would hope and be the best case scenario. If not, it's okay, because what's happening is this is drawing attention to the actual need and validates the use case altogether. Right here, Dow Jones is nearing that 20K mark again, 2,200 points down on the day, almost 10%. Here we go. This is super interesting. Again, Tez the Salesman, thank you for sharing this. He saw this in this book at Barnes & Noble the other day. And for those of you that do not know, the link is right here. Gold is a better way and other wealth building secrets. So again, this is by Adam Barata. So check this out. All right. So right here, as we can see, all of this brings up an important consideration. Where will central banks fit into this if this does all occur? So as mentioned, central banks, including the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, we know the relations with Ripple, so no surprise there. And yes, they are a fan of XRP, right? Hold roughly 25,000 tons of gold. Now, this is where it gets a little speculative, and I know people are going to be bitter and say it's too wishy-washy. That's fine, but we need to at least, entertain and talk about the idea of this. So as gold-backed cryptocurrencies are developed, whether it's a stablecoin or a ratio 1-to-1, it doesn't matter, are developed and adopted, this overwhelming supply could allow central banks a deep advantage in determining the rules and structure of a new digital monetary system backed by gold. So some people completely disagree with this whole gold standard idea, but it is pretty peculiar to see the BRICS nations accumulating more gold than ever before in the last 365 days. So I think it's worth entertaining and talking about, especially with economic turmoil that we're experiencing now, where metals typically will go down initially and then eventually, boom, like they pop off. And that's fully what I intend to see with cryptocurrency as well in digital assets. So right here, they're talking about a current monetary system, which will ultimately collapse sometime within the next 10 to 15 years. I'll have to double check when this book was written. And right here, I believe that digital one world currencies will be backed by gold. Now, I'm not saying XRP will be this whatsoever. I just hope that XRP is able to transfer the value on the back end and be one of the settlement mechanisms for commodities and energy, oil, gold, equities, you name it. Like, that doesn't matter. I'm just saying that XRP has a true use case and has a good chance of transferring high value such as this. And they literally assume right here, according to this prediction, it would be reasonable to assume gold prices of $25,000 per ounce. Wow. Now, the reason that gold can be so suppressed is they're not basing it off the physical supply too, which is already hard to really calculate, but there's so many just futures contracts and, it's sold on paper. You do not own the asset unless you are holding it in your hands. So if you were buying gold, silver, palladium, platinum, make sure you own the actual asset. You lock it in a safe or, bank, safety deposit box, whatever you see fit. But be careful with, custody solutions that you're just buying. All right, now, this is pretty funny. This popped up right after. So Greg Manarino disagrees with this idea. So he says, tell the President of the United States right now today to advise the Fed to stop issuing debt. By executive order, declare the Fed to not have the public interest. Immediately revalues gold to $25,000 an ounce and back the dollar with just a fraction of gold. We could shut down the Fed immediately. But he says this will never happen. So his belief, he just thinks people are delusional if they think we're going back to the gold standard. I think Greg is phenomenal, absolute genius. But again, nobody can know for sure. I could be wrong. He could be wrong. Anything is open. Only time will tell. All right, next up, Stuart XRP sharing this. So this is just a quote from 2014. Keep in mind, Ripple cannot talk about price appreciation. They cannot talk about how bullish they are. Obviously, that would fall in line and make them look like they have a conflict of interest in trying to hype the atmosphere and the whole ecosystem. So this is a super, super conservative quote, but I did like it. So right here, the role of XRP, we already know, native currency on the Ripple protocol. Like Bitcoin, most users of Ripple will continue to use the existing local currencies. XRP plays a security function and assists with liquidity providing on the network. Over time, if the Ripple protocol becomes widely adopted, demand for XRP may increase, leading to an increase in price. So unlike the information protocols like HTTP or SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, investors can directly own a stake in Ripple or, XRP, the value transport layer of the internet. And this is exactly what I'm saying. Blockchain is going to flip over the whole model for everyday people to at least invest on a level playing field as well. Get these groups the funding. You're owning a piece of the IP protocol. And the more that people build on this network, the more value that's transferred, the more people that use it. For the first time in history, you could make so much money by owning the protocol, at least contributing that organic liquidity to the system before it fully ramps up. Very, very bullish, guys. All right, so highly recommend you check this out. All right. Next, the daily hodl, guys. Hold on for dear life. If you guys have not heard this news, this is very, very peculiar, very, very bullish for digital assets, all cryptocurrencies. So the U.S. Treasury, the one and only Steven Mnuchin, and we have a picture of this gentleman right here with Mr. Donald Trump. So right here, President Trump, I don't know why I called him Mr. So right here, guys, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin appoints the Coinbase chief legal officer to oversee the banking system. So we can see here, longtime cryptocurrency and Bitcoin skeptic Steve Mnuchin. Keep in mind, he's the one that said, what did he say? He can assure us that we will not be talking or even hear of Bitcoin 5 to 10 years from now. He does not believe in Bitcoin. He believes in other protocols. He does like DLT, distributed ledger technology, and blockchain, and cryptocurrencies and central bank digital currencies, but he really does not like Bitcoin. So it's interesting to consider that, and that's kind of what I'm looking at, guys. I'm looking at XRP, and I don't care if people say, oh, it defeats the purpose. Bankers, banksters are using them, whatever, banker coin, whatever you want to call it. Institutions are using it. It defeats the purpose of decentralization. Well, I'm here to make money. I get the ethos behind it. I do, but I guess I just, want to be a little more realistic per se. So right here, Brooks will serve as the next chief operating officer and first deputy comptroller of the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, after stepping down from his role at Coinbase, the largest crypto exchange in the U.S. So again, talking about this, the primary regulator of banks and federal savings associations in the U.S., issuing rules and regs that govern the banks it supervises and taking supervisory action against banks that fail to comply or otherwise engage in risky practices. Very, very interesting. I know, talking about Mnuchin's anti-crypto rhetoric in the past and remarks, but again, sees no need for the U.S. to launch a digital currency. And then Brooks is an outspoken proponent of making the U.S. a leader in the digital currencies, specifically by launching a U.S. digital dollar. Boom, more talks, priming the masses. I'm telling you, it shouldn't be surprised, or you shouldn't be surprised, guys. The Fed will make their own, digital currency. You can already argue that we are digital for the most part, so I just don't know why people are skeptical with this. Yeah, every bank in the world, every central bank will have a central bank digital currency, and the key is that you have to be able to interoperate between them with protocols like Interledger Protocol and a bridge asset, which I hope would be XRP. All right, right here, Michael, Val5 links. So the New York Stock Exchange, again, halted trading for a third time in a week on Monday after stocks dropped 7%, triggering a 15-minute pause in trading again. Should be no surprise. Happening more and more. I just showed you we were down 2,000 points right there. Then we went up 800 points. Then you go back down. It's, constant volatility. Now, why I'm kind of concerned is, why did the Fed seem to make this announcement about interest rates on Sunday night? Is really the circumstances of the current economy so dire that they could not wait to their typical Wednesday announcement? These are the things you have to use logic and question. What is really going on? All right? Is there a bigger play at hand? That's all I'm saying. Just think. I might not even be right with some of my conspiracies and ideas and speculation, but you have to speculate with a speculative asset. If you guys have thoughts down below, please add them. I'm always reading the comments as much as possible and trying to, get a better gauge of, overall market sentiment and psychology. Right here, Grimace. This guy's smart. I always enjoy his tweets. So right here, was that the first circuit breaker 5 seconds into the day? If so, then what was the third circuit breaker within 7 calendar days without having one for 23 years? And I think we will get a fourth circuit breaker after 15 minutes. I'm telling you guys, this is different than the 2008 crisis. This is a little more substantial. There's, more things going on with the globe. The BRICS nations is a huge one. We have Brexit. We have the Chinese trade deals. We have the election. We have, the beer flu. We have so much going on. All right. And then I can assure you there's so much more going on that I'm oblivious of, like completely oblivious of. So please let me know down below as well. All right, and then right here, I wanted to finish up with this. So this is Cyflux. So again, how I'm seeing things. This is his perspective, and I tend to agree with it, so I just wanted to share it. If you guys agree or disagree, let me know down below. Right here, hyperinflation incoming, trying to prop up the stock market with quantitative easing, of course, nonstop printing, and entering digital numbers into a screen, and boom, adding to the monetary supply, reducing, overall supply, therefore demand is lower, US dollar falls, just like other currencies as well. Market still crashes regardless, the dollar is going to crumble, the Federal Reserve, kind of fails as well, fails their role, Trump will blame Powell, no surprise. This whole, beer flu eventually disappears or dissipates, and then central bank digital currencies are announced, and, all over the globe, more and more are going digital, and yes, they've been working on it for years, don't be fooled, they've literally talked about it in trials, and then of course, he believes that, could play out is the Federal Reserve is abolished and the dollar is then backed by a gold standard. Now, this is what people have, a lot of trouble believing. What I'm saying is, I believe it's very possible. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but I believe it's possible. So keep an eye out for the next few months. I don't know how soon you can roll something out like this. I've never witnessed it in my lifetime. And then right here, new liquidity tools. As they've been saying, they said they have new liquidity tools. The public and private sector are teaming up. AKA perhaps Ripple is helping as a consultant, or R3 or another group, and then the QFS is announced, and this is the quantum financial system. This whole talk, I know about, of course, quantum computing, and I'm pretty familiar with the whole concepts of that, and I'm a pretty big science nerd in quantum entanglement compared to like classical logic. Instead of ones and zeros with quantum, they can be both 1 and zeros, or 10%. 0 and 90% 1. It gets really fascinating, but I digress. Quantum financial system is essentially talking about gold, oil, energy sources, green, more green economy, XRP backing it and transferring the value. It's been in talks, and I would love for it to occur. If not, yeah, we might see a slow and steady rise for XRP regardless, but I believe this is the year. All right, I am so bullish with this. I'm actually going to finish up with a video clip, and this is shared. Let me see. Oh, lastly, so Poochie, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name. U.S. citizens are actually exempt, but right here, guys, breaking news, Canada to close borders to those who are not Canadian citizens or permanent residents. Pretty crazy. All right, and this is going to keep happening, more and more kind of self-quarantine. It's happening gradually, but speeding up, and I think people are kind of like, holy crap, this is happening way faster than we anticipated. All right, and then right here, this is going to finish off. So this is Ryan Zagone, former director of regulatory relations at Ripple. This man is so eloquent, very, very smart guy, knows what he's talking about, and really put the name out for XRP and put it in a positive light to show them the true technology and purpose behind them and differentiate itself from technology like Bitcoin. So as we can see here, another reason why XRP is a better option specifically for financial institutions from the regulatory compliance standpoint. Now, I am not trying to crap on Bitcoin by any means. What I'm saying is if you guys like Bitcoin, is first, to be here, has the dominance, is a store of value, is, if you want to say it's decentralized, that's fine. But it is not ready or scalable enough to solve the payments problem. This is why I believe XRP will solve the payments problem. This is where I believe I will get the highest return on my investment through utility and not speculation. Will there be, waves of speculation along the way? Perhaps. In his quote, XRP complements fiat currency and Bitcoin replaces it. Ryan Zagone. So check this out, guys. Again, this is on status.hr/Ripple, and you can check this out. So with that, guys, be sure to like the video, and I will see you in the next one. Here we go.
XRP, in this lens, it complements fiat currency. When we think about other virtual currencies, say Bitcoin, for instance, that's a tool that's being used to replace fiat currency. So the consumer would take this currency and use it to buy its coffee with instead of using the central bank's currency. So in that approach, it becomes inherently competitive with the central bank's own currency. With XRP, we've taken that similar technology and applied it in a way that complements fiat currency. It helps banks source currency immediately. So this is like a second generation of or second use case that's come to the market for virtual currency. We ran a trial last year of 12 banks that did not have accounts with each other, but wanted to make cross-border payments, where they used XRP as a means to source fiat currency. So they were using XRP to source liquidity and test its use case. In that trial, we found that it was quite successful in getting immediate access to liquidity and having significant capital savings for these institutions.